Hello, Prime Roasters. Thank you again for joining us for our very latest episode. We're all about Epstein today and the DOJ and what's going on with NPR. So we've got a lot to discuss this week. First, I want to get to Epstein, the problem that won't go away for President Trump and Pam Bondi. It's weird how he's behaving. I got to tell you, Chris, I don't like this because he's basically saying, don't just forget about it. It's not important. Make it go away, please. But yet, no one is going to forget about it because guess what? We've been talking about it for how many years now? And now even Tom Tillis, who everyone hates out of North Carolina, that's the senator there who's going to not run again because, he didn't vote for the big, beautiful bill and other things. He's even calling for the Epstein files to be released. So everyone's jumping on the release the files, full transparency train. Chris, what say you?
Oh, let's put it this way. You're talking about an administration, a president who actually ran partially on the idea that the Epstein files needed to be released. You have an FBI director who said the Epstein, I'm not saying files, I should say Epstein client list should be released. And you had Dan Bongino, who became the deputy FBI director. He's been saying these files should be, the client list should be released. And Pam Bondi, same thing. The Trump family, Trump Jr. was saying the same thing. All of a sudden, about a week or so ago, we have an instant 180. This is not something that gradually turned into something. It's an instant 180. Epstein did not kill himself a few weeks ago. And what was it? The other one was Trump saying, "Yeah, we shouldn't release the client list." Then they kind of juxtapose the idea as the files in the client list. Yes, we don't want to see the child porn, and we understand Pam Bondi, but the truth is, we do want to see the client list, and we deserve to, because government transparency and reinstilling some level of trust from the government or out of the government is why a lot of the MAGA types voted for Donald Trump. And the good thing is when you hear liberals say, MAGA people are a cult, this is the proof that they aren't. Because let's say Joe Biden said something, no matter what it was, or the Democrats are saying, oh, Joe Biden's perfectly conscious and he knows what he's doing. They believe every word without any questioning. They never question their leaders.
Yeah.
Trump people question their leaders.
Yeah, well, you're right. That's a really good spin on that topic. I think Pam Bondi has to not make these rookie mistakes, right? She should never have gone out, right after she got sworn into the DOJ to say, hey, the files are sitting on my desk, because now she can never walk back those words. I mean, these are rookie mistakes. How many top law enforcements do you know that can openly talk about an active investigation? This is so weird. And now we have pictures of influencers out in the White House holding these white binders. Well, what do those white binders say, Chris?
Oh, let's put it this way: the white binders didn't say much. The influencers were bamboozled, and now Donald Trump is trying to tell us that this is all a Democrat hoax. I'm going to play this video for you from Just the News on Real America's Voice, and this is Donald Trump on the phone talking about this. I want to get your thoughts.
For all the things that have happened, there's the Russia collusion against you. There is Jack Smith against you. There's all the things that happened in 2020, not investigating China interference in the 2020 election. What are the things are most important that you would like to see the FBI get to the bottom of?
I think they could look at all of it. It's all the same scam. They could look at this Jeffrey Epstein hoax also, because that's the same stuff. That's all put out by Democrats.
Yeah.
And, some of the naive Republicans fall right into line like they always do.
But wait a minute, wasn't he intended when he was coming in to release this list?
I don't know, Chris. I don't want to watch this episode back in 2 weeks, in time and say, oops, we made a mistake here. Something is going on here. Remember, James Comey's daughter was just fired from the DOJ, right? She was the U.S. attorney in New York, I believe, that was handling these files, the Epstein files and the P. Diddy files. Right. So she was just fired. Maybe there's something more here. Maybe we need to give President Trump some runway here because some other stuff might be coming out and we don't know. I mean, right now he is being super pressured for
He's pulling,
transparency.
but he's pulling the idea that it's a hoax. It's not a hoax. How do you think Maxwell was prosecuted?
Because it was a hoax, and
Right.
because these influencers went to the White House because it was a hoax.
Right.
All of it. Does
Yeah,
that
he-
mean that he also fell for it?
Well, I don't think he fell for anything. I think he's protecting somebody or something, or I do believe forces that are deeper than this are protecting some very powerful people. And Trump has been caught in the middle of this because Trump does want bigger fish than this. He wants the actual treasonous types. He does want the Brennan Comey investigation done. He does want to tear into the likes of Letitia James and Adam Schiff, corrupt people like that. But he also wants to stop child trafficking and what's been going on across the borders. What's happening? This is a huge part of child trafficking. This is government-sponsored human and child trafficking, possibly, and that might be why he can't release it. Maybe he's protecting other interests around the world. Maybe the crown is involved, and there's a lot of speculation. And again, I'm speculating here, but the fact is, Donald Trump is trying to convince MAGA that it's a hoax, trying to convince his voters, his supporters, that it's a hoax, but it's not going to work because they're not the types of people who believe anything without verifying, researching, or checking things out. They're not cultists. They don't believe what their overlord says at face value, and they never will. And I think Trump is realizing that. He should be happy, though, with that as well.
Yeah, I like all these arguments. Did you hear what Alan Dershowitz said about the client list, that the client list doesn't actually exist? And I think he takes to the point that it's called client, that meaning that it belongs to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, he represented Jeffrey Epstein in Florida in the federal case, I believe, back a few years ago. So he's supposedly seen this list. He's saying that it was actually a list drawn up by the FBI based on witness testimony, not so much that it was a client list that's, some sort of black ops list by Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, I think the truth is already coming out because we're putting so much pressure on it. But yeah, this is going to be folklore until we actually see like the JFK files, right? Until we see the whole totality of things.
Right. And speaking of coming out, these Democrats who have just come out of the woodwork on this. Oh, now let's release the Epstein files. Yeah. Donald Trump's on them. That's why he's not releasing them. They know why they were trying to hide the whole thing before, but they're jumping on board. That Jaya Powell, who's always been annoying. Oh, I was too busy to do that to say that when Joe Biden was around. And there's this Jamie Ratskin who appears on MSNBC thinking, I'm in friendly territory. I can say anything I want. But he even had to answer a real question from Joe Scarborough.
State congressman, you could have gotten that from 21 to 25 when Democrats controlled the DOJ. Why? It was a crisis then. It's a crisis now. Why didn't Democrats call for it from 21 to 25?
Good question.
Yep.
So, I mean, you have to go back and look specifically at particular prosecutorial.
Boy, he's trying hard to become wordy. He's using the Kamala Harris answering strategy. Word salad, and hopefully the so-called journalists will take it at face value.
And big words.
And what was taking place in terms of the other cases. So I don't know. We could try to reconstruct that record. But the point is that Donald Trump is the one who has led the crusade.
There you go. It's all the orange man's fault. The fact is the Democrats were the ones hiding this before. They know now that if Trump is not going to release it, then they can jump on it and pretend that, oh, Trump's involved or Trump's this. There's a reason why Trump is stopping this. And again, their people will believe it and take that at face value, but still the rest of us are going to be like, no, we don't like that either. That doesn't sound like the right answer either.
Yeah. I'm happy that rag's off his head. I am sorry. I know that was about skin cancer and whatnot. So
Are you saying he's off the, well, never mind.
Well, I just don't recognize him sometimes. Like, it's like, oh, that's what he looks like. He's got a nice forehead. He does.
I
as
okay
foreheads
too.
go.
Yeah, we're the forehead police here because that's where I stand. I'm the forehead guy. But speaking of another thing here, and again, I wait before we go to the Department of Education. I do want to bring up a devil's advocate perspective here on why Donald Trump probably should not release the clients list, and it's not my idea. This is from Bill O'Reilly, who brings up a poignant point, if you will. If the list is released, there are going to be a lot of people who aren't necessarily clients. That's important to note. If these people aren't necessarily clients and the media gets their hands on this,
Yeah.
we all know that the media is irresponsible when it comes to reporting, and it's willful ignorance when it comes to context. O'Reilly pointed that out and said they're going to drag people's names through the mud without doing any research on the list. Just to say they're on the list, which means they're all pedophiles, without doing any investigation.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that is exactly what Trump is trying to protect, that anyone who is associated with these files, they're just going to assume, oh, well, that guy's a pedophile. That guy is a sexual predator. That guy, whatever, or girl. And I think that's going to be a huge mistake because you're right. The media is irresponsible. We just want to see names. We're so starved for these names that I think anyone who's associated with it, who even took a plane ride, who even like text messaged the guy one time, will get done in by this. So we're not, I don't know. I don't know what the answers are here. Ultimately, there's a larger play here. It's very clear to me. And we should wait. We should give the president some runway room.
All right, and keep in mind, the president also knows firsthand how the media likes to run with things that are not true or not necessarily true, just to drag certain people through the mud, or just to get ratings, or be the first one to uncover the story. And that's also a little problem with society. We can get into that as well, but we still have other things to discuss here, including the fact that Linda McMahon now has full permission to body slam and empty out, do the double suplex, if you will, or even the superfly. Remember Superfly Snuka? That move on the DOE. It's going, gone, and believe me, it was not only useless to start, but it soon became a useful tool to dumb down our education system, our nation, and of course instill wokeness. These let's just say restraining and dangerous leftist policies that basically made our school system or made our school system less effective as far as education, and made our students dumber. And believe me, the math and science scores against other nations, developed nations, they prove it.
Yeah, no, and the Supreme Court, of course, ruled that, guess what? The Trump administration can fire anybody they want to, and the DOE I can't believe we had to even bother the Supremes about this case. Yes, no.
Diana Ross probably would say something if we bothered her, right?
I think Diana Ross would be all about this because honestly, the DOE and what's going on in schools today, public schools, it is such a disaster. I'm a public school kid, and I remember seeing flags, American flags, up in our classrooms, and we had to do the Pledge of Allegiance every morning with that awful loudspeaker. But we did it. And now
the morning announcements. Don't forget the morning announcements.
Oh, yeah. Those no one paid attention to. But my kids went to the public schools in New York where I went, and not a single flag was seen in our school except for one Swedish teacher. One Swedish guy kept the American flag. We saw other flags. I won't mention.
You mean the alphabet flag that flies pretty?
I don't even know.
In a lot of schools.
There's so many variations of like rainbow flags. I don't know. I'm afraid to even say it on air because I don't know if I'm going to offend someone because I didn't say it right.
Well, let's hear what Vivek Ramaswamy had to say about the DOE and its woke policies, how that poisoned our education system.
But, if this is a mind virus, I think the lab leak for this virus actually was the federal government. It was the Department of Education. And not a lot of people know this, Greg, but they use the money they give to schools. It's not just the school boards that are bad. The money they use is like a handcuff that forces these schools to adopt these woke ideologies. And that's why I've kept it pretty simple. If I'm president, I'm running for president, I say I'm going to shut down the Department of Education because it doesn't actually need to exist. And I think so a lot of these woke cancers start in the bad places you'd expect, actually, in the federal government. So
and keep that in mind. Kids were smarter. We had better math and reading scores, science scores back in let's say the pre-Department of Education era.
Yeah, I actually caught this watching C-SPAN 2 one day. I do nerd out on C-SPAN. I love it. I will tell you that there was a budget meeting in the Senate back when Biden was president, and they were talking about the American COVID Relief Fund and how there's like 40 something pages. Oh, sorry, it wasn't 40 something pages. There was an application for schools and institutions to fill out in order to access the billions of dollars for COVID relief for schools. But in order to do so, the application asked for, I think it was either a 5 or 7 year plan for DEI, that you have to like list out your curriculum plan for these schools in order to receive the billions of dollars. So this is how they get you, right? And this is how DEI and all those woke policies was able to infiltrate and indoctrinate our children, because it was mandated by our federal government to get this information into kids' heads. Now, fast forward 20 years of indoctrination. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but since we've been indoctrinating our kids, since the DOE has been taken over by woke policies and agendas, now these kids are graduating high school, going to college, and guess what age they are? They're of voting age, which is why we're seeing candidates like Zoran Mondani and others flooding our ballots now because they are trained that way.
That's right. Good old Zoran Mankami, and of course, Kamala Harris, still the front runner in the Democrat Party's potential polling for 2028. Hopefully that embarrassment will go away pretty soon. But again, I can't put it past them. What happened was, let's put the DOE together with the dumbing down of America. It accelerated the process that's been going on since the 1910s, 1920s, according to, and if you read Charlotte Thompson Iserbeat's The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America, it does stretch that far. The DOE is as a huge part of that. What we have had since the DOE, we've had the lower scores, but the DOE and the teachers unions have brought us, get this, invented spelling, whole language. And whole language, mind you, was a 90s policy in education where children were not taught phonics in let's say, an experimental type districts. These children were taught how to memorize words and read that way. So what happened was I remember reading a story. It was the late 90s. I was reading a story about this educator bragging about, oh, we have students that memorize 300 words by this age. And I'm thinking, yes, but they could actually put together words and learn how to say and look up words that they don't know and read words that they don't know through phonics and forming words that way. Right. If you memorize these words, they know nothing about them. Okay. Department of Education also brought us the elimination of volleyball. And believe me, they worked in cahoots with the unions over.
They got rid of volleyball?
No. Scratch that. Dodgeball, not volleyball.
That's even worse. Right. That's my favorite sport, you dudes. It was tennis and dodgeball that got me through high school. You know how many times I got hit in the face by a dodgeball?
Right. And it's character. Of course, participation trophies.
Right there.
They always said, dodgeball leaves kids out. It leaves kids out, but only the ones that want to be left out. You don't want to participate in gym class that day? Just stand there and let the ball hit you. You can sit for the rest of the day. This dodgeball is always the great equalizer. Us smaller kids were able to whip the ball at the bigger kids because they're bigger.
You could get in there, right? You could get in there and like get them up right up in the face or neck.
And they couldn't hit us. Right? They couldn't hit us because we're too small and fast. That's right. We kicked their butts. I don't want to hear it. Oh, and of course, this whole thing about, well, maybe we should stop doing homework. Remember that whole anti-homework crusade? Or there's no such thing as a bad kid.
Gosh.
It's always the teacher's fault now. The teachers can't even discipline young people anymore. They can't. Nowadays, there are districts that don't expel kids.
They don't do that in New York City schools pretty much now anyway. Look, my son came back one year, it was like 3rd or 4th grade, and he didn't have homework. I'm like, he never had homework. I'm going, this is weird, but I had to go with it because am I going to question the DEI teacher? Right. So I'm going, maybe they don't have homework anymore. Like when I was going to school, we had homework for hours every night. Right.
Yes,
this kid was like playing PlayStation, watching YouTube videos. I don't know what he was doing for all those times. And it turned out that he had homework and that he would go to class a little bit earlier in the morning and just bum rush through his homework until I got a phone call one day from the teacher going, how come your son never turns in homework? And here I am thinking, it's DEI policies.
Well, here's another one for you. They also brought you invented math. The DOE and the teachers unions brought, invented math. 2 + 2 can equal 5, or else you're racist. That's right. And of course, young people don't have to write essays anymore. And let me correlate the DOE's presence and its woke policies with the idea that colleges now have to have remedial courses. Since apparently the school district doesn't do it. Oh, yeah. And social promotion. That's right. If kids can't hack it and they need to be left back a year, they couldn't be anymore because it would hurt their self-esteem. So while that's a good point. But the DOE can put that in its cap. While we failed in science, math, and reading and arithmetic and all this other stuff, at least the kids have good self-esteem. Here's another thing. You want to talk about some of this wokeism? Let me show you this. I'm flabbergasted even looking at this. The Department of Education actually had one of its divisions. I'm going to pull that up right here. It's called the Department of Education's Comprehensive Center. It claims in this video that America's schools are a system of settler colonial realities and white supremacy, which must be destroyed in order to obliterate this whole thing and liberate BIPOCs, as they call it, from oppression. Let's hear some of this garbage. And believe me, this is why young people are dumber, because this is the kind of thing that's being taught to them.
That in settler colonial realities, there is no neutral space, no school, no policy. If we are not reclaiming it as Native people or for the people, then it is a settler space.
And back to white supremacy, they value the written word. They value the policy design. So our charge and our lens and our stance around equity, racial equity, anti-racism, and center sovereignty is part of our DNA, unconditional.
There are indeed meaningful and purposeful ways that we would indeed need to destroy to try to undo that oppression.
Oppression? You mean actual education, teaching young people things that they really need to learn to survive? Fact is, despite what this bear and his friends say, young people need to learn the 3 R's. They don't need to learn the 3 DEI letters. They just don't. And what they're also saying is that, get this, and I believe they're saying in this thinly veiled, that some of these BIPOCs, they say, cannot hack it in a regular educational environment, which, my friends, I will submit to you, is in and of itself racist.
Yes. Wow. How did you find this video? This is incredible, Chris. I'm throwing up in my mouth as we are on camera. I just recently had a high school reunion. Yes, I'm that old, multiple decades now. But a bunch of our high school friends got together, and one of them brought a aerial shot of our graduating class of over 1,000 kids in New York City Public High School. Over 1,000 kids. We had to take over like the soccer field or something, right? Of those 1,000 kids, only 800 something actually graduated that year in our class. We're wondering what happened to the other 200, because guess what? We had standards, we had testings, we had, just basic requirements to graduate high school back then.
Hey, but there's another thing, Angie. Some students might need an extra year. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with another year to catch up somewhere along the line. That's perfectly okay, because one can function normally. There are parents that used to hold their kids back on occasion.
Yes. Yes. I see that now as a parent. But I will say that right now, the graduating percentages are much, much higher. In fact, it would be almost impossible to get left back. Even if you didn't go to school, they're still graduating. That's how crazy it's become. This is all just a mess. Speaking of dumbing down and people who should be left back, there were some pretty whiny crybabies who are very upset about the news that the DOE is going to be dismantled. And here are a couple of them. Check this out.
Good morning. It's Monday. I have a question for those that have voted for this.
By the way, how scary is this woman's face that close to all of us, right that close to the phone? She's trying to pull this whole, look at me, I'm telling you something. And by the way, with the blinks and the look on her face and the snarky smirk you're going to see here and you see right now, she's telling you that she is smarter than you, and she's going to bring you something that you're going to find profound or else.
Administration. Did you vote for the Department of Education to be taken out?
So again, that little snarky look on her. By the way, lady, yes, we voted for that. That was a promise made, Angie.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Let's hear some more.
Dismantled. Did you vote for that? I'm just curious. I'm sure you wanted them to change things, but dismantling a department that helps your children and helps a lot of people.
It helps your children and helps a lot of people. She doesn't tell you why.
No.
She was programmed to think that it helps children and helps a lot of people. And you don't really, and she's trying to, she's the kind of person that, well, let's put it this way. Why are the dumbest people on TikTok trying to act like they're smarter than you, and they're acting like they're talking down to you because you don't agree with them? Another thing is,
that's always been the case. She
Right.
reminds me of Hillary Clinton telling U.S. aid why it's so important to have more billions of dollars going to Haiti, while the Clinton Global Initiative is there just like stuffing cash in their pockets.
Right.
It's like, but it's good for Haiti. See, it's good. Keep giving Haiti money. They need it. We need it. Chris, before you go on, I want to understand, what is the speciality with these car testimonial videos? Why is everyone in their cars doing it? Is it because it's good sound? Because that's what I do for sound. But like, why does everyone make videos out of their cars?
because they think it's hip. She thinks she's as cool as those 13-year-old influencers, or actually I should say 17-year-old influencers that speak out of the car. The 13-year-olds are always on the passenger side. Well, you know where I'm going. Let's say mentality of the 13-year-old. Now, what actually makes this video even more annoying is it reminds me of those stupid Lume commercials, or at least the first Lume commercial, where that woman who invented the deodorant goes, "Now I'm telling you, we're gonna get this. This is great deodorant." And then she does the close-ups of her face with a thing, and then she does the close-ups of her the armpits, and then the other places that she describes, and she puts the deodorant there. That's what this reminds me of, which makes it even more disgusting.
Oh gosh. Yeah, so she's pissed that DOE is going away. I haven't even had time to digest this yet. I do actually have a lot of friends who work at the DOE, but I don't think that they're troubled by this, because so much of the DOE has switched over the last decade or two that a lot of the tenure teachers and administrators, they've all been pushed out of their jobs for people less qualified, let's say. And so I'm not sure this cleansing, I'm going to use that word, probably was needed, because we see how much of that money was being funneled into projects that have nothing to do with education. So I'm happy to see that there is a Doge moment here. The DOE by name may go away. Education's still sticking around, guys. That's not going away anywhere. Not in an American society, not today.
And speaking of cleansing, another promise fulfilled. NPR's the CPB, all defunded, at least as far as this bill is concerned. When it's signed, when this spending cut bill is signed, that was approved by the Senate, the NPR and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting will be defunded. Well, I mean, as I said, they're not going to get taxpayer funding for their biased reporting. Now, of course, Catherine Maher, ever the defiant one, goes on CNN to defend her case.
As far as the accusations that we're biased, I would stand up and say, please show me a story that concerns you, because we want to know and we want to bring that conversation back to our newsroom.
Challenge accepted. I don't have to go back very far, by the way. Let's see.
Oh, boy.
How about this one from NPR? Trump ambushes South Africa's president with false claims of white genocide. You remember what was going on. Donald Trump.
My earpiece popped off. Reading. She read that.
First of all, this is supposed to be a news article, and the headline itself reads like an editorial.
It's
Trump
awful.
Ambushes. He didn't confront South Africa's president. He ambushed South Africa's president. Ambushed how? This guy knows he was coming, and Trump was talking about this for months. Then, of course, immediately, without evidence and without really doing research, NPR claims that these assertions or the assertions by Donald Trump are false, when in fact there have been decades of white farmers being killed. Heck, there are leaders within the party, within the African National Congress, who sing the "Kill the Boer" song.
Oh yeah, I remember doing that episode with you.
Yep. And what does Ramaphosa do? He laughs it right off.
Oh boy.
Yeah. let's see. There's all sorts of these. They were pretty bad on this, by the way. They kept trying to say the president was wrong and not telling the truth during the whole thing when they never really had evidence. They just asserted that he was wrong. Here you go.
Yeah.
What's Trump's beef with South Africa? This is a very biased. NPR is a very biased entity.
No, they got to go because their entire newsroom is just filled with activists, right? And that's what's going on across newsrooms around the country. Washington Post put a stop to it, although there's still a few remaining. But remember, it was just a year ago that the Washington Post editorial team did a walkout, right? And like Jeff Bezos, the owner of Washington Post, said, "Okay, leave, like go. We don't need rainbow hair people in our newsroom anyway. So it's time. We're going to do a cleansing everywhere, and it's not based on race. It's based on your woke ideology. It's just not welcomed anymore. Look at Jaguar. They just fired 500 executives and administrators at Jaguar, the car company, because they were just so infiltrated with woke ideology that they couldn't sell any cars. They sold 74 cars in Europe last year or last quarter. It's like they're so blinded by their own perceived righteousness that they forget to do their actual job. And the job of the DOE is to teach our children, but they forgot to do that as well. They want to teach them not how to think, but what to think. And that has to go right now.
And believe me, she even we played that video before of the CEO of NPR saying she didn't care to seek the truth. It didn't matter because they're trying to put together something. Here's some more headlines. And Libs of TikTok found these too. Apparently, they accepted the challenge. There are headlines reading, Kamala Harris already faces racism and sexism from Trump and Republicans. There is no neutral, nice white people. There's no neutral.
No, that's not real.
No, there is no neutral. Nice white people can still be complicit in a racist society.
That's not a real headline, is it?
Yes, and how racism became a marketing tool for country music. This is a leftist opinion generated or a leftist opinion-based organization. NPR has the right to exist as a broadcast entity, but has zero right to taxpayer funding if it in fact is basically little more than MSNBC with taxpayer bucks.
Yes, and that is the next one to go. We're hearing that Judge Jeanine Pirro, who's now in charge of the DC U.S. Attorney's Office, is also looking at pressing charges at CBS, ABC, NBC, and others. So all of this is all welcome to me. Look, no one should be on the airwaves without the equal time rule, right? We forgot about that, and that can be challenged. Their licenses could be yanked if they don't give equal time, if it's just going to be a lefty network. No, we're not paying for that.
The equal time doesn't really exist anymore. All that
does it? I thought it was still law.
Doctrine is toast. There are reasons for that because there are now, it was hard to make money or kind of try to find ways to yank up or jack up some of these companies like AM radio stations that were switching to talk. They needed some more dynamic personalities. So apparently deregulation, also the Reagan deregulation era knocked out the fairness doctrine, which is fine at this point because we should be trusted instead of dumbed down enough to believe everything. We should be trusted to do our own research and try to understand what people are saying.
Oh, no one has time for that. They had time for headlines.
But
NPR
NPR's massing itself as unbiased, claiming it's unbiased, but using taxpayer dollars to push leftist ideology. And that, my friends, is why it should be, we shouldn't be funding it.
No, it's got to be kiboshed. I can't wait for that to go away. I don't know too many people. Well, that's not true. I do know a few people who still watch it, not for any good reasons. I can't wait to hear the arguments, but you know what? That's an executive order. You don't even need to do anything other than just defund it. Guess what? I can't wait for all this to go away. I know that networks now are looking at people like us, Chris, looking to book us and get us on air because they're trying to balance it now because they know if they don't, then they're going to be, the next one on the list. So I look, all of this is welcome only because there's now more voices, additional voices, more angles on stories. All this is good because we went way too far left with this stuff. Remember, we were censored just months ago, right?
Absolutely.
Guys, you can't forget this. We don't have short memories here. we were all censored, conservatives, Republicans. And if you use the C word, and you know which C word I'm talking about, you can even be on YouTube, right? All this stuff. It's like, wow, that wasn't that long ago. So this is how they were doing it. This is how they were funding it. And that does not belong in American free speech. It's got to go.
And that's the truth. Let's wrap it up here. I want to thank all of you for being with us. Angie, thank you. It was a great, a lot of fun today. And we look forward to more fun next week on Prime Roast.
Yes. Bye, guys. Thank you, Prime Roasters.